I believe we are live, which is another way of saying making a video that I don't have to edit. But I do like sharing these with people. These videos are typically for customers. This particular little series of videos is help that I'm trying to give Danner and Ray. I got this picture yesterday from Ray. Ray is Danner's dad, and they're renovating this old shed and making it into a tiny home. And they got this wall up here, which I was impressed with yesterday because they started really late. And so I think I need to get on the ball here and help them think about these rafters. Excuse me. Now, and this is the wall that they've got framed up right here. So now with any project, you'll know, or you should know, that things evolve. And the further you get into a project, the more you have to think about it, and the more you become aware of the site conditions and the wants and wishes of the owner. Things change, and that's just part of construction. And the people who are successful in this industry are those who are willing to change and go with the flow. So I'm going to make a suggestion here. And one thing I've noticed this morning when I was bringing up this file was that I had these rafters set up because I thought he was going to put ceiling joist in here at one time. You see, so I had this cut on the bottom of the rafter. These are 2x10s, and I'm using 2x10s at 16 inches on center because of the span is 12 feet, but it's also a low pitch, a low slope. So, you know, anytime you've got a lower slope, you want to kind of beef up your rafters. You want to check the rafter span table, and you know, make sure you're doing the right thing, because you're going to have more of a force. You know, imagine, this is a good example. Imagine these rafters right here, these mansard or gambrel rafters. Guess which direction most of the load is in? It's mostly a vertical, right? Well, yeah, it's vertical, you know, in this plane, right? Now you've got a big flat table sitting here, and you're going to have a lot of load on the, you know, this middle area, right? So anyway, I didn't want to get off on a tangent on that, but so what I'm doing is I'm going to basically, whenever I do this, I like to take a fresh look at something, and I think I'm going to try to simplify these rafter tails so that they're more simple. And so I'm going to take, I had made this a group earlier. I'm just going to move it out of the way right now, and I like to do this in a given footage so that I can copy things back if I need to. I'm going to move it over here 30 feet. That way, if I want to steal these, you know, these barge hangers or fascia board or whatever, that I can copy them back. Now, one thing Ray is going to do is he is going to call me at some point and tell me and ask me how far up this ledger. We're calling this a ledger just to have a simple term for it. You know, we don't really have a vertical ridge board like this, right? We would call that a ridge if it was a ridge, but since it's something that's going to be nailed to the side of these existing rafters. By the way, everything in white is existing, and everything that is tan or wood colored is new, and that's just a way to kind of help the people keep up with it. So, and honestly, I haven't even checked to see. There may be a more logical, you see, and that's kind of what I was getting to earlier, alluding to that, you know, as you get closer to actually doing something, you can, and I do this all the time, I take my computer out to job sites all the time, and we, you know, reevaluate things and make sure we're doing them correctly, or the easiest way, or the best way for the owner or their project. And so that's 2'6" 1/4". Now that was based on the pitch of the roof, right? That was based on this being a 212 pitch. Okay, and that just turned out to be 2'6" and a quarter. So what I would probably recommend is just going ahead and making it, I don't want to lower it, let's just make it 2'7", because he's going to call me. I'm gonna take a line and go there, and then I'm going to go back up 2'7". And this is actually, it's funny how some things are easier to do in real life than in a drawing. You know, it would have been easier for me to take a tape measure and do this in real life than to draw it. So it's kind of funny. So I'm gonna delete this stuff, and I'm gonna pull myself a construction line, a guide, and that's what they call it in SketchUp, right there. Okay. And this is also to demonstrate to Ray that this is not like set in stone or anything. You know, these things are flexible. So that's and I realize I'm causing myself a little bit of work here, but I just want to have something that's easy to remember and consistent. Right, so I'm going to move this up to here. So that's what you'd do. You'd mark that. You'd mark it on these rafters, these gambrel or mansard rafters, whatever you want to call them. They're the common rafters of the mansard roof, the gambrel roof. You pop a line across there. That construction line, that guide that I drew, is your chalk line. Okay. Now, I'm suggesting that we let this take a 2x10 and notch it so that this can be a barge hanger. We call this the barge rafter. This is not the fascia. The fascia goes on the outside of this as a piece of trim. Okay, this is the barge rafter. This is the house line rafter. The rafter that's even with the house line. It's easy to remember this kind of terminology. So what you would do is just notch it so that this, you can support both of these. Let me go over here to the existing. I copied this model so I wouldn't ruin the original, but you can see how I set this up. See, you can bear this barge rafter on that and screw it in, and then you can come up with a little bracket, you know, to mount this one, or, you know, come up with a way to screw it or screw it in there first. But you've also got this barge hanger. But this junction right here, you want to be really strong. Okay, so that kind of explains because I didn't want to spend too much time fixing all this up here, because the next time they work on this, they're going to need rafter information, and I don't want to spend a lot of time in this video correcting that. But I do want to talk about sequence a little bit, and what I probably would do is this. Let's pretend this is not here for a minute. I'm going to leave my little line there so I don't lose that. But what I'm trying to get to first is to show them how to mark their pattern. Okay, and so what I've done here is got myself a 2x10 that's embedded itself in this wall. And what you're going to do first is just take this. One of you is going to come down here and hold it. Okay, and for now, let's give ourselves, let's just run this down to where it's even with the top of this top plate right here, just like that. That should give us enough of a bird's mouth. Okay, so, and then what you're going to do, let's take and run us a line, a guide. And again, this is easier in the field because you don't have to deal with rotating things with a mouse. So I'm sorry, here we go. So what you're going to do is one guy's going to hold it down here, you know, where you want it. And I would just make myself a, why did that not, really? Is that not lined up? That's bizarre. Let me try that again. You see what I mean by it would be easier? There was a little line sticking out there. Let's try this again, because it goes from here to there. Okay, I got it that time. You get a little complacent and you think you're good, and you just do it fast, and you find out you're not that good after all. So one guy's going to hold it here. You're going to make yourself a mark, right? Just make yourself a little tick mark right here when you're doing it in real life. Just make yourself a little mark, you know, there, okay? Because you want to hold, because we're going to rotate it. This is something we are going to do. We're going to rotate it with that point right there. Okay, then we're going to take this end and hold it flush with that point. Okay, now what you're doing though is you're doing it. I had to do it because, again, I had to do it, rotate it with the mouse. Good Lord. But what you're going to want to do is hold it on the outside of this point, on the outside of the barge rafter. I mean the house on rafter, I'm sorry. Hold it on the outside of the house on rafter, like that, and you're going to take a block of wood. This is not here yet, okay? The ledger is not here yet, because we are not going to put this up like this. We're going to put it with the notch, and it's going to be hanging over and all that. Consider this a block of wood. Pretend like this is a block of wood that long, okay? You're going to take a 2x10 up here, and let's go down here and check to see where we are down here. Let's make sure, you know, one of you will be holding, hey, there's my little tick mark. All right, cool. You see, right? So that worked out good. And now we're going to go up here. And what I did was, let's see, I just kind of got the, yeah, that's hanging over far enough. This is a 16-foot 2x10. Okay, and that's what you're going to have to use because 14 foot's too short. So you'll hold it like that, and this is going to eliminate all the need for math and the Pythagorean theorem and all that stuff, okay? So you can take your pencil and mark it, okay? Just like that. Then you're going to come, and then you or Dan, or whichever position y'all have chosen. I'm going to look at this in a minute, but for now I'm going to make myself a mark right there, okay? Now you're going to take it down and lay it on the sawhorse, you see, and if my marks worked right, I should just be able to cut that off. Yeah, I did it. Sometimes I don't get those marks on the board, on the thing, you know, it's confusing. So pretend like this is laying on the sawhorse. Aha, see, I didn't get that one. Oh, that's what I'm talking about. How did I get that far off? Well, that's bizarre. Okay, so I have a feeling that for some reason my wall is not lined up with that. So that's weird, but we're going to check it in a minute. Okay, but in any event, that mark should have been let's get it. And I'm going to double check this because I'm starting to. Okay, we're gonna go. You see what I mean? We're gonna go back. We're gonna go back and redo this. Okay. I don't like making mistakes. And you see, something is not lined up. And I'm not sure how that happened. How did that happen? Well, I get it. Okay, so that makes sense. The sheeting is not on the wall yet. This is set back. Okay, I get it. I get it. All right. So now that I know why this should be a 1/2 inch. Oops, if I can quit scrolling like a madman. This should be a 1/2 inch. If I go from there, that's a 1/2 inch. All right, I get it. All right. You see how things get kind of out of whack. Let's see if anybody watching. It's okay. I'm just making a video for Ray. So let's do this again. We're going to take, this time we're going to transfer this like I just did. And get where I can see better. And we're going to move it. Not quite sure why my axis is acting funny. That's weird. Let's just put ourselves let's use our, I think you're starting to see why. Okay, alright, okay, I get it. So, well, really, when you create, okay, this is a long story in SketchUp. When you create, when you create an object and then you rotate it, it remembers its original orientation. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna explode this, and I'm gonna make a new group out of it. Okay, you see how that rectangle now is oriented with the horizon, horizontally. Now my that's a little trick I learned in SketchUp, is that if you ever have trouble with that rotation like I did, now you see, now things are working. Now I should just be able to draw a line from here. You see that red axis? That is the axis I want to be on. There we go. We're cool. Now did I get this line? So all this is going to take a lot less time in real life. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and check that to see if I got it right. I did. I'm cheating because I can't cut it off until I get to my sawhorse. But I'm going to go ahead. Okay. Now, I just wanted to push it back so I could show what it looks like. And this was the wrong one. Oops. I'm trying to get rid of the old garbage marks. Okay. Now see, this birth mouth is going to work better for you than the old one. You're not going to have as long of a cut. Okay. Now let's make sure we've still got our 2 and 12 pitch. Because I just realized I raised the rafter. That means I raised the rafter up a little bit. So I'm going to go out here 12 inches. And I'm going to go down. It doesn't have to be 12. It just needs to be, yeah, that's close enough. Inch and 15, 16. You see, I changed the pitch just a minute amount by raising this into the rafter up. But I'll remind you why I did that right quick. This rafter was going to have a real long cut right here, right? And I'm trying to eliminate that, right? So the way I just did it is going to save, some cutting. Okay. Now to get your overhang, you want to measure out if it's a 16. I think we're using 16 inches. Is that right? From here, yeah, 1'4". Okay. To get your overhang, what you do when this is laying on the sawhorse, okay? Oh God, the scrolling is you're going to measure horizontally 14.5. Okay. Now I'm starting to. I think I see an issue already, but we're gonna deal with this. We're designing on the fly, so we're gonna cut that off. Now we've got a 2x4 subfascia. Okay, now this one should work. If I move this, and this is why I copied this over here, I'm going to explode this actually. Now I'm just going to move this over. Well, it ain't going to work because I raised it up. Well, I'm going to move it over 30 feet. Ain't gonna work anyway because the rafter's in the wrong place. I'm just gonna show you why we need to adjust this. You see, our decking's gonna hit this, right? So what you have to do is your subfascia is dropped a little bit like that, you see, and then you want, am I still editing this? No. And then what you want to do is your rafter, your soffit cut on your rafter. Oh, this is what I was afraid of. That's, as soon as I drew that guideline, I just realized that all right, so we're going to need to make some adjustments here a little bit. I think you want a little more of a thing, a little more of a thing, a bird's mouth. So what we're going to do is take, and I didn't want this to be a long video, but it looks like it might be a little longer than I thought, because this is the kind of stuff you want to work out, right? So what we're going to do is put this back right there. We're gonna leave that there, and now we're gonna rotate it more. Now that we have this guide to go by, okay. Now that we have, now I want also remember that I think this wall. What's wrong with this wall is it actually should be lined up with. I'm gonna cheat right here for a second. I'm gonna move this over to where it should be. Let's see. Well, we can't do that. We got, see, that's related to the slab. This is right. This wall is right. Okay. So it's probably these rafters that are, you see, this is probably supposed to be over a ½ inch. So let's pretend this is all lined up because it probably is in real life. Okay. I'm not going to worry about it because I think it's all the framing's lined up in real life. What I'm going to do though is now that I have the advantage of knowing all these where this is going to work out, I'm going to take this, I'm going to rotate it down. Let's see. Let's come up with a bit of logic. If I rotate that down, it's still gonna let's rotate it down an inch, and this turned out to be a bit different video than what I thought it was going to. Let's go down there, and let's push this over a ½ inch. If I can type a ½ inch. And there's our new, that's going to be our new, let's see if we do that, that will put our, we're not going to run into the same problem, are we? Let's see, let's test it before we cut it this time. See, I'm making all these mistakes so you don't have to, Ray. Okay, and I don't know why that won't go down. Just go over there, that's all I'm asking you. Okay, so that would be, yeah, that's fine. That's good enough. That would give us a inch and a 1/16. We'll just call it an inch. Okay. This is framing here. We're not going to get too anal. Ray's like, I'm going to get anal. You don't have to, but I'm going to. So now our cut is going to be this, and what we're going to pretend like this was the original line, okay, that you marked. Okay, don't pay attention to the first part of the video. Okay, because what I'm trying to do here is, I got that little bit I got to cut out too. Go to there. Okay, so we're going to pretend like that was your original. That's where. Let's see if we got it. So that's 2 5/16. Am I going to have to make this? Is there not one logical measurement? Well, what do you know? Okay, I declare that it's 5 inches. I knew I was going to find a measurement to refer to. This measurement right here is 5 inches. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you. I don't like having weird measurements, okay? All these other measurements were weird. So now we've got a real measurement. Okay, 5 inches. So if you measure, and I'll show you why that matters in a minute. Okay? So now what you're going to do is you're on the sawhorse. You're going to mark, let's see, yeah, you're going to come down on the end. What does it say? 3 3/4. That's easy. And then you're going to mark a level line across there and cut it off, okay? Just like that. Now, this is still going to be easier to cut, maybe, hopefully, than the other one, okay? But I'm declaring this the new pattern, okay? The other thing I meant to mention is before you cut your rafter, you want to check up. You want to check your rafter when you're holding it up there. You want to make sure the crown is up. Okay, and what we do in carpentry is we'll have somebody, usually, you know, an apprentice or somebody, crowning the joist, and he'll just take his pencil and put a little up arrow on it, just like that. Okay, and that way when the carpenter is laying out all his, well, and they'll lay them on the sawhorse all facing the right direction. Okay, you want your crown to be up, and there's going to be crowns. I promise you, you didn't buy top choice lumber, so you're going to have them. So just get used to crowning them. You see, there's a process for everything. Get all your 2x10s, lay them out, crown them before you start cutting them. And when you set this thing up there, you want to try to find the straightest one, obviously, as your pattern. But when you set this up there to mark it, like we just did, then you're going to want the crown to be up when you mark it. Okay. So that goes there, and then it's easy, right? Because then you're gonna mark. You're gonna come over here. And we're going to put this back because this is all going to be lined up in real life, and it'll be easier to demonstrate, okay? So now you got your rafter. I better talk about sequencing here. So you got your rafter cut and it works, right? Because you're going to test it. That's one thing you want to do is, I mean, you can go ahead and put this ledger up if you want to, but remember when you're putting the ledger up to notch it so that this comes out. And you can leave this out. You can leave it wild. You know, you can just let this run out here wild and cut it off later if you want to. But, you know, make sure you leave that hanging out there. I mean, obviously you don't have to if you don't want to, but it's just a good practice, a good suggestion. This juncture here, if you go look at these types of roofs, this intersection here is usually where things start to fall apart because they weren't connected very well. Because there's a lot of force down on this way, right? This is pushing down this way, and this is pushing that way. So you got double whammy going on there. So now what you're going to do is you're going to take your pencil and mark 14 and a half. I'm sorry, 15 and a quarter, 15.25, and then you'll make a mark on your make this easy. Well, that didn't work. Are we gonna do all this crazy? Come on, SketchUp, you can do it. Give me an angle here. Give me a 90 degree. Give me a 90 degree. There we go. Up. I'm gonna push the shift button to hold that, okay? So then you're gonna mark it there and put your X on this side. Okay. And then what you're gonna do from there is mark 16. Okay. So we're gonna group these marks. The reason you do that is because that puts your first one. You see, that puts the first one at 16 inches to the center of it. Okay, I'm going to move that for now. Then you can go 16 inches. 16 times, how many we have, 20? Can't remember. So then you'll have all these marks on here. Ooh, I got way too many. It's okay. It's easier. It's easy to delete them. Right. Oh, look at that. We got one right on the end, and that one will just go flush, right? I should have counted those. What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay? So you get all your marks on there, and then you start nailing your rafters up. Times 15. And boom, you got it. Oops, that was wrong. Made my own mistake. This one goes 15 and a quarter. And then it goes 16 inches. Okay. Times 14. There we go. I see that, but that's why you make those layouts. As soon as I copied that, and I could see it was wrong because I had it laid out properly. Okay. And then this one, this is on layout, but it'll go back flush with your house line. Yeah, it should be flush. All that should be flush. Okay. So that's your rafter process right there. And that's enough of a bird's mouth, because what you're going to do is you're going to come back and put rafter ties on. If you're going to leave this ceiling exposed like you talked about once, you can take some angle brackets and put them right here on top of the plate, screw them into here and screw them into there. But first you're just going to toenail. If you're going to put brackets on top, put all your nails on one side, okay? Nail it here, there, you know. Put all your nails on one side and then come back and put your brackets on the other side, because your nail heads will get in the way, okay? And when you're one thing I wanted to talk about was toenailing too, okay? If you're going to be, let's do this, find a place to do it. Let's do it on the concrete down here. I'll put marks on your concrete so you can't put stain on it now. How about that? So what am I going? I'm going 9 1/4 by 1.5. Okay. I'm just going to draw a section. See if I have any comments. Hey Richard, how's it going? Thanks for joining in. On a word about toenailing, okay? We're gonna pretend like this is the wall, okay? We'll just bring that down. We'll just put us an imaginary 1.5 here for our top plate, Okay, when you're toenailing, okay, this is a section cutting through it. Okay, you wanna pay attention to the angle. Okay, you want to your nail to hit right about here, and then come up right about there. We're gonna check that angle. I should have. Let's do a 3-inch nail. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna come up. Let's see. So we want it to go in. Let's go in. Let's go up 3 at first. Let's just take a 3-inch line, and then we're gonna put it. Oh, I know what I need to do. I know what I need to do. I need to make this a group so this doesn't affect it. That's why I was giving trouble. So, and why did I not group all that together? Good Lord, Tony. You gotta make things groups, or okay, why is that doing that? Should be able to make a group. There we go. Things stick together in SketchUp if you don't make groups. Okay, now I can just move it. So I want my nail to hit somewhere right here. Let's look at see what kind of angle. And this is kind of important. Okay, so now we're going to take our protractor here and we're going to go this way and go. I think it's about 60 degrees. What is that? 68. Okay. The reason this matters is because if you get this angle, if you get this nail, if you get it too low, it's not going to hold very well. And if you get it too high, it won't go. You're not grabbing enough meat, you see, and this will split out. And what you're trying to do when you're toenailing is get a good nail in the board, but not split it. And it's something you just have to kind of feel, get a feel for. And when you're doing the head of your nail, now this is a 3-inch nail, so you need to start. Let's see how far up you need to start. I think it's about an inch. You want to get a decent. I'm going to say you want to leave about 1.25 inches here. 1.5 inches. Let's say 1.5 inches, because. And we're going to bring this up to show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so if we get this nail, you see, imagine, I should have drawn a real nail. Imagine this being so close to the edge now that it chips off. It'll chip that off and you won't hold anything, okay? If you get it too far in here, you see it's not going to go in deep enough. If you get it too high on the board, I would recommend practicing toenailing for, and it's an art. There's an art form to it, okay? And the other thing is you don't want to keep driving the nail just home. Just keep driving and driving it. Once that nail hits, once the head of the nail gets right about there, stop. Don't try to drive the whole head of the nail into the wood. All you're going to do, you're going to notice that your board's going to start scooting over. Okay? So it's best, if this is your mark on the wood, on your plate, right there, it's best to start your rafter over a little bit, and then if you start beating on your nail too much, then it'll scoot over with just a couple of whacks, and then you'll be on the line. But if you put it on the line right away, and you're not good at toenailing, this thing's going to scoot over past the line, and then what you're going to do is start beating on it this way. You see, you don't want to beat on the rafter, you want to beat on the nail. Okay, so that's just the reason I'm saying that too, is because a good toenail will not be so far embedded, and that's why when you start to put your brackets on to hold your rafter down permanently, the nail will get in the way. Okay, so anyway, quick toenailing lesson there. You need to practice toenailing. If you're going to be doing it with a nail gun, it's a little bit harder to even do it with a nail gun, because you know your nail guns have big, like, teeth on them. A framing nailer has like sharp teeth on the end of it. You know, it'll come down and it'll have, you know, it'll be like that, right? And then it'll, yeah, I don't know, you know what I mean. It has these teeth on the end of it, and it'll dig into the wood. As you're approaching this angle, these teeth will dig in a little bit, and then it'll shoot the nail. Okay. What I would do is if you're going to use a nail gun, I would practice on some scrap boards, because what you don't want to do is start splitting this connection. This is your only connection, and that's why I recommend just putting a couple of nails, or even if you just put one nail right here to hold it, a good toenail, and then come back and put your brackets on this side and screw them in. And your screws aren't going to do any damage to the wood. Okay. Let's see if we got any. All good. I've been sorting out the tin cans. Let's see. Also, all eggs again. I'll be glad when I move out to the boonies. I'm going to get me some chickens. Of course, Ray told me not to eat eggs, so I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't talk about chickens while Ray's watching. But anyway, so, oh, by the way, this subface is going to hang out here, right? I was just showing it like this, but it's going to hang out 16 like that. And then what you're going to do, and we're going to copy, we're going to bring our barge rafters back over now, because your barge rafter is a 2x4, and this is that's all centered on you know, the fact that you want to use a 1x6. If you're going to use a 1x6 fascia, then you got to use a 2x4 sub fascia. And it looks like I didn't get it exactly. Should be 16 from here to the outside. So for some reason I'm 1'4.5". So I probably laid out these others. I probably laid out this side of the roof first. But in any event, you know, you'll want this to hang over 16. You'll want these barge. Let's go ahead and move it over so I can say the right number. This should be a 1/2 inch over. And so you want your soffit to be 16" total. So your barge hanger will be sticking out 14.5, right? Because then your 1.5 inches is going to make up your 16 inches. And then when you get ready to put your soffit material on here, you know, you'll have you won't have to cut it. You won't have to rip it down. It'll just fit, because you're going to put a 2x2 block on there so that you can nail it to. Anyway, that's all soffit stuff. We'll talk about that later. Okay. But then I'm going to fix this. This barge rafter will go right here, like that, see? And then this one will get cut off. I'm going to keep that angle going. And so then that'll get cut off right there. There we go. And what that'll do is it'll allow your soffit, when you start putting your soffit material up, it'll come all the way to here and then transition to going up like that. That'll give you a nice, clean, crisp bend right there. Okay. And then down here, this will be cut back. But see, what you do is you put your subfascia on the rafters that you just put up. You'll put your subfascia on first and let it hang out. The subfascia will hang out 16 because it goes all the way, see? And then what you'll do is your barge rafter will be cut. I'm having to cut this because you know, we changed the pitch a little bit. It's like that. and that's accurate that the edge of that's sticking up a little bit, because again, your OSB or your decking will come down and hit it, somewhere, right there. You don't want your decking to hang over your subfascia. Normally we let the OSB hang down like an inch, so there's a transition there. Right. Alright, so this was mainly about rafters, and I think that gets us where we want to go. If you just come up 2'7", Ray, and pop your line on there. Now, still call me. He was going to call me, and we were going to talk about all this. But I thought it might be easier, and I'm glad I did it now, to work out this whole rafter cut, this whole bird's mouth, and the soffit cut, and all that. You can imagine, though. You can imagine if you didn't have this soffit cut on your rafters, that the rafter would be hanging way down. You'd have to use like a 1x10 fascia board, you see. And that was really kind of what got me to doing this again, is getting that accurate. So anyway, that's just a quick look there. And Ray, if you have any trouble as you're doing it, I hope you'll call me, and I'll help you work it out. If you have any adjustments, you see, I can adjust them probably quicker than I did today, and then give you measurements. Like I can tell you if this is proper. Well, you'll already know, because you're going to work. See, the reason I'm doing it this way is because I'm eliminating the need to do a squared plus b squared plus c squared, right? And the reason you can't do that on this is because you got this existing roof that's sloping, right? You got this angle to deal with, and we don't, on a regular roof, we're not dealing with all that. We're just dealing with, this would be symmetrical on this side. You see, we'd have a vertical ridge, all that. But so we've eliminated the need for, fancy math, and we're going to just do it the old-fashioned way. We're just going to put it up there and mark it, and it'll be more accurate that way. But basically, the main number we're looking at now is 2'7" off of this subfloor to that line. I'm going to check comments one more time. Let's see. If you get cream leg bar, his gigs will be better for you to eat. Is there what kind? Cream leg. Do we have those in America? I remember when I was growing up, my grandmother had Baney hens, and then she had just a bunch of other hens. I don't know what kind they were. I know the roosters chased me. There's Chaos 79. How you doing? But check out Danner's channel. I've got it in the here it is right here, Danner Kronos there, and I put the link in the description. They're turning this shed into a tiny home, and it's really awesome. Danner's an awesome guy. These are both, Danner and his father are really smart guys, and just a really joy to work with, and it's been fun helping them. And just go check out their channel and subscribe to follow along on the shed build. They started yesterday on the walls, and that's what kind of spurred me to do this, because I realized that, Ray sent me this picture yesterday, and I thought, ooh, I gotta get busy on these rafters. So let's check the comments one last time. Yeah. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. Thank you, Richard, for all your input always. And Richard's a friend of mine from the UK, and I've actually met him. He came to the United States and to an NRA meeting, an annual meeting one time, and we met up there. He gave me some great rations. We call them MREs. I forgot what you guys, y'all, I don't know, I forgot what y'all call them over there, but he gave me some cool, and actually, Richard, you're gonna freak out. I found those I started to say C rations. I found those MREs the other day that you gave me. I'm cleaning out my garage because I'm going to be moving in October, and or hopefully in November at least. and I found them. So we put a special mark on the box, and we'll be getting them out. I had lost them in my previous move, but anyway, I wanted to keep this video short for Ray so he wouldn't have a long video to go through. So I appreciate everybody watching, and we will see you next time. Thanks, guys.